Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're taking a bit of a different tack on finance. We're putting the complex models, the spreadsheets, maybe just pushing them aside for a moment,
Yeah, definitely shifting gears.
because we're diving into a book arguing that financial success, it's maybe less about the math and more about how you handle yourself. We're looking at The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel.
I really like that framing. It's moving from the purely quantitative to the qualitative, the human element. The core idea we're exploring is that this isn't your typical finance discussion, forecasting market timing.
Right, no crystal balls here.
None. This is really an inquiry into the human operating system. Housel's main point really is that getting money, and maybe even more importantly, keeping it, that's much more of a soft skill. It's about behavior, emotions, discipline, less about technical know-how.
So our mission today, for you listening, is to pull out those key behavioral insights. Why do really smart people who get the numbers, still make, let's be honest, irrational choices with money? Sometimes disastrous ones.
Yeah.
We're focusing on that biggest variable in the whole equation.
Yeah.
Us, ourselves. Okay, so let's start with something Housel really emphasizes early on, a kind of behavioral empathy. No one's crazy. We tend to look at others' money choices and think, what were they thinking?
Right. We judge pretty quickly.
But the book makes it clear that everyone's money mindset is built from their own completely unique history, their economic experiences, the country they grew up in, the era.
Exactly. Your personal financial past, it acts like this bias filter. It colors how you see every single investment, every risk. Think about, say, someone who grew up in the 90s somewhere with really high inflation. They saw their parents' money just shrinking.
Right, losing value day by day. That person's going to carry a deep-seated fear of rising costs, probably be very risk-averse. They'll want safety above all else.
Now contrast that with maybe someone younger, someone who really only started paying attention after the 2008 crash and just saw that long, long bull market that followed for, 15 years?
Yeah, totally different reality.
They might see the stock market as, well, almost a guaranteed path to growth, less perceived risk, way more opportunity in their eyes.
And both views make perfect sense to them. They're contradictory, sure, but they're both rational based on their own lived financial truth.
Understanding that helps us shift from judging to just analyzing the behavior. It's key.
And that flows right into this kind of messy part of life.
Yeah.
Luck and risk. We love focusing on merit, hard work, and yeah, those matter.
Absolutely necessary.
But Housel really pushes us to acknowledge the stuff that's not based on merit. The role pure chance plays in both success and failure.
He uses the Bill Gates example, which is classic, right? Genius, drive, absolutely. But Housel zooms in on the luck factor. Born into a family that could afford a good school, sure, but the really crucial bit,
The computer access.
that specific school having one of the very few computers in the world at that time, that wasn't skill, that was like a geographic lottery win, pure chance.
So what's the practical application of knowing that? How does that help us?
Well, the takeaway is actually pretty profound for both our humility and our empathy, I think. If you really internalize how much luck played a part in your own success, it dials back the arrogance,
Makes sense. Keeps you grounded.
And conversely, if you recognize the huge, often invisible role of risk things totally outside anyone's control and why someone else might have failed, it boosts your empathy. Not every setback is because someone messed up or didn't try hard enough. Sometimes stuff just happens.
Okay, so if we accept luck's role, the humility should probably make us think harder about how we handle success when it does come. Which brings us to, well, maybe the most dangerous trap Housel discusses.
Yeah.
This idea of never enough.
Ah, yes. This is maybe the most critical lesson in the whole book. It's about the danger of not knowing when to stop pushing.
Lord.
It's like this black hole, isn't it? It just pulls everything in. And once you cross that line, that boundary of enough, you genuinely risk losing it all, everything you built.
He tells that story of the two businessmen, Rajiv and Sanjay. It makes it so clear. Rajiv hit his number, basically, and decided, okay, this is enough. Focused on family, health, stopped the relentless chase.
Right. He defined his finish line. But Sanjay kept going, always more, trying to compound not just money, but status, influence.
And where did that lead him?
Straight into trouble. A corruption scandal, Housel writes. He lost the money, the reputation, even his freedom. He risked everything he had and was, for more of what he didn't need, simply because he never drew that enough line.
Wow. So the behavioral rule seems simple on paper, but executing it, that's the hard part. Define your enough, and then shift your mindset From accumulation to defense, basically. Protect what you have, enjoy it, rather than constantly risking it for just a little bit more.
That distinction between defining enough and just chasing more, it leads right into another huge psychological point. The difference between getting wealthy and getting rich.
Well, this is a good one. Because it forces you to ask why you're spending money,
Yo.
getting rich. That's the visible stuff.
Right.
Totally. High income, fancy car, Instagrammable vacations, it's all about showing the income.
Whereas getting wealthy,
Yeah.
that's the complete opposite. It's invisible. It's hidden.
Wealth is the money you don't spend. It's the assets you don't see, the savings accounts, the investments quietly compounding. It's asset focused, not income focused.
Right.
You could have Rahul making a ton of money, looking super rich with the lifestyle.
But maybe leveraged up to his eyeballs.
Exactly. Versus Vikas, maybe a moderate salary, but diligently saving and investing, drives a normal car. Vikas is the wealthy one, even if he doesn't look it. Wealth is the part you don't see.
And that connects perfectly to what Housel calls the man in the car paradox. We buy status symbols thinking they'll make people admire us. But when you see someone in, say, a Ferrari,
What do you think? You think, wow, what an amazing car. I wish I had that car. You're not usually thinking, wow, that driver must be brilliant and hardworking.
right, the admiration attaches to the object, not the owner. It's this empty pursuit of validation that doesn't actually land.
It's a paradox, just like he says.
Okay, so if chasing visible status symbols is kind of empty, what's the real payoff of money then? What does it truly buy, according to Housel?
The biggest thing, the ultimate benefit that isn't about consumption is control. Control over your time. Control over your options. Freedom.
That's the real dividend of saving, isn't it?
Absolutely. Think about people stuck in those golden handcuffs. High salary? Sure, but they have to keep working those insane hours just to sustain the expensive lifestyle they've built. Are they really wealthy in terms of freedom?
Probably not, compared to maybe someone earning less, but with really low needs, who saved enough to quit a job they hated.
That second person might be far wealthier in terms of actual well-being, autonomy, control over their own life. That freedom, Housel argues, that's the ultimate currency money can buy.
All right, let's shift into strategy a bit. If we understand these psychological traps, how do we build a better approach? Housel points to the foundation of long-term success. Compounding. He calls it magical.
Yeah, the magical power of compounding. And the sources are really clear. The secret sauce isn't being some kind of market wizard. It's not genius stock picks. It's patience and time, just letting it work.
But the amount of time needed, that's where people get tripped up, right? He uses Warren Buffett as the prime example.
And the statistic is just staggering. Over 90%, 90 of Buffett's net worth was accumulated after he turned 50. Think about that.
Wow. So it wasn't finding the magic bullet early on?
No, it was consistency. Staying invested, continuous, uninterrupted time, allowing that compounding to really take off. Decades of it.
Okay, but hold on. If 90% came after 50, doesn't that make younger people feel like, oh man, I've missed the best part, or that it's too late?
Yeah.
Is patience really the only thing? Or is there a trick to just holding on for decades without freaking out?
Well, that's exactly the point, isn't it? Longevity, staying in the game, that's the key. And the trick to staying in, it's defense. It's plain defense.
Yeah.
Because life happens, markets are crazy, uncertainty is the only certainty. Which leads to the next big concept, the critical importance of a margin of safety. You absolutely have to build a buffer, a financial cushion.
Why, though? I mean, if the math says my money does better invested long term, why keep a chunk of cash just sitting there, basically doing nothing? Isn't that inefficient?
It might seem inefficient if your only goal is maximizing immediate returns. But the buffer's goal isn't maximizing returns. Its goal is survival. It's surviving the inevitable shocks without derailing your entire plan.
Like what kind of shocks?
Unexpected job loss, a health crisis, a sudden recession that hits your industry hard. Housel uses the engineering analogy. Engineers design a bridge to handle way more stress than it's ever expected to face. Double the load, maybe?
That's your financial margin of safety.
Exactly. So if you think, okay, 6 months of living expenses is a decent emergency fund, Housel would say maybe aim for 12. That extra cash, that buffer, it defends your long-term investment plan. It stops you from being forced to sell your investments at the worst possible time during a panic just to cover bills.
Okay, that makes sense. You're basically buying yourself resilience, buying time to make good decisions, not desperate ones. But okay, getting back to returns. High returns don't just fall out of the sky. If patience is the entry ticket, what's the actual price we pay?
The price you pay is putting up with the fear. It's enduring the ride. High returns, especially in stocks, they aren't
Right.
free. The cost is volatility. It's living through the market downturns, the scary headlines, the uncertainty, the feeling in your gut that says, get out now.
Yeah, that feeling is powerful.
Incredibly powerful. And if you give in to that feeling, if you panic and sell when things look bleak, you're essentially refusing to pay the price of admission. And if you're not willing to pay that psychological price, the discomfort, the fear Housel argues you're just not entitled to the long-term returns the market eventually delivers.
So you need that psychological endurance. You need that long-term faith, which kind of brings us to the last big idea, the tale of tales.
Right. This is about where returns actually come from. The book reminds us that most investment results, like the vast majority of the gains over time, don't come from everything doing okay. They come from a tiny number of huge winners. The long tails.
So out of maybe 100 stocks you invest in, only a handful.
Maybe only 4 or 5, yeah.
Yeah.
Might be responsible for almost all the profit over decades. The rest might break even or even lose money.
What does that imply for strategy then?
Well, 2 things, mainly. 1, you need broad diversification. You have to cast a wide net to make sure you actually capture those few crucial tail winners. You can't predict them in advance. And 2, maybe more subtly, you have to fight off pessimism.
Why pessimism specifically?
Because pessimism always sounds smarter, doesn't it? Predicting doom seems more insightful, more intelligent somehow. Optimism, especially when things look bad, can feel naive or foolish. But history, the long arc of it, shows that economies generally grow. Innovation happens. Progress is real, even if it's messy and uneven. To benefit from those crucial tail events that drive long-term growth, you have to maintain a degree of cautious optimism. You have to believe things will overall get better. #outro. So, if we really boil it all down, Housel's core message isn't about mastering spreadsheets. It's about mastering ourselves. Financial success, fundamentally, it's about controlling our own impulses. Fear, greed, arrogance, impatience. It's behavioral.
Yeah, it really shifts the focus. And if we quickly review those key behavioral rules for you listening, saving.
Yeah.
Just saving money regularly, maybe the single most important skill, no matter your income.
Yeah.
It creates that margin of safety.
Crucial.
Then focus on controlling the risk you can control, like your own behavior, your spending, having that buffer rather than trying to perfectly predict or maximize the return, which you can't control.
Good summary.
And finally, maintain that long time horizon. Patience isn't just a virtue here. It's like the superpower that lets compounding actually happen.
Couldn't agree more. And we've talked about how true wealth isn't really the stuff you see, it's the savings you don't see, and it's the freedom you gain over your own time.
Which leaves us with maybe one final, provocative thought for you to chew on. Take a hard look. What are you currently spending money on? Is it genuinely buying you more control over your time, more freedom, more security? Or is it mostly benefiting someone else's perception of your status without actually adding much to your own well-being or autonomy? Something to think about.